Okay. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddham dhammang sanghang namasami. Okay, dear friends, tonight I wanted to speak about the Kanti Parami, the perfection of patience, which is one of the 6 perfections in the Mahayana tradition and one of the 10 perfections in the Pali tradition. Before reading the sutta that I selected for tonight, I'll just say a couple of words about this wonderful quality. So patience is often described as the ability to bear hardship, insults, dangers, frustrations, without any disturbance, without becoming upset, without becoming angry. It's also described as being patient with the inevitable challenges of the human existence, like the aches and pains in the body, the difficulty of illness, and so forth. So you might not necessarily feel angry because you have an illness which is giving you a headache or giving you some bodily pain, but nevertheless it could cause distress, disturbance, emotion sensitivity, or a loss of focus, a loss of the clarity of mind. But with patience, one is able to calmly and patiently be able to bear that. And then there's a third level of patience, which is being patient with this path of training, which was laid down for us by the Buddha. So if the Buddha advises us to fast in the evening, we patiently and with faith and confidence in that these teachings will be beneficial for us, we follow that. So we do, as monastics, we do without a lot of entertainments and distractions, and we patiently bear up to those restrictions. Or somebody who's a layperson who's made a commitment to following the 5 precepts, they know that they are not allowing themselves to engage in different kinds of misconduct. And so they're patiently submitting themselves to those restrictions. There's another kind of a way of thinking about it, and that's in terms of forbearance or forgiveness. So it's said that the Buddhas are the ocean of forbearance. This forbearance and gentleness goes together. The Buddha forgives others for all kinds of insult, injury, abuse, and censure. He forgives them everywhere, in secret and in public. He forgives them at all time, in the morning, at noon, in the afternoon, day and night. He forgives them for what they've done in the past, for what is being done in the present, and for what will be done in the future. He forgives them in times of sickness and in health. He forgives them with his body, because he never thinks about hitting back with a stick or a stone or harming them with his body. He forgives them with speech, and that he never utters a harsh, insulting, or hurtful speech in a reprisal against somebody. And he forgives them with his mind because he doesn't harbor any kind of angry thoughts or ill will. So in this way, it's interesting that this idea of forgiveness in the Pali tradition, there's one idea of forgiveness, which is that if somebody apologizes or acknowledges a fault, then our training is to accept the apology and to forgive them. But then at this level, at this bodhisattva level, it's going far beyond that. We're not waiting for them to apologize or to acknowledge a fault. We forgive them even if they don't acknowledge a fault. There's one of the stories in the poem I've been reading these past few weeks about the bodhichara, the conduct leading to Buddhahood. And it's about the Buffalo King. This is the king of the buffaloes. Do you know the story? No? Okay. So he's large, he's strong, he's big, he's dominating. And then while he's wandering, he finds a wonderful spot and takes a rest. And then a wicked monkey comes along and jumps up on his shoulder, and he urinates and defecates on his shoulder, his forehead, and his eyebrows. Not just once, not just one day, but day after day, second day, third day, fourth day. He keeps on soiling the Buffalo King. And others say, you should get rid of him. You should knock him down. You should punish him. And he says, no, if I were upset with him, I would degrade myself. That would violate my ethics if I took a reprisal on him. So by just being patient as a stone and allowing it, actually I am more mighty and more great because I don't get any disturbance. And so by forgiving disrespect from all levels, then he gains his bodhisattva path, his realization. I'll tell another story. These are quickies. There's one deva, a heavenly being, whose name is Dhamma. And on the opposite day, the new moon day and the full moon day, Dhamma always does 10 good deeds. And then there's another deva whose name is Adhamma. And on every opposite day, he does 10 evil deeds. And so the spirit Dhamma is riding his chariot across the sky, and then the spirit Adhamma comes back along the same direction on the same road, and the two chariots are coming face to face on a narrow road. And so one of them has to step aside to let the other one pass by. And Adhamma is saying, ha ha ha, I'm more powerful than you. And because I'm a Dhamma, I can do whatever I want and push you aside. And because you're a Dhamma, you can't do anything. And Dhamma just steps aside and allows the Adhamma to pass by. So they don't engage in that power struggle, but by not engaging, actually, they are the greater, the more powerful. That's the mystery. Okay, I got to tell one more. This is the King Saka. Then there's the Asuras, which is a kind of another type of a deity. The Asuras are warlike, and they're famous for being jealous. And so the Asuras are constantly attacking Saka, the king of the devas in the Deva realm, and so they're having a conversation what to do about it. And one of the people he's talking to, a Brahmin, says, you should punish them, because if you don't punish evildoers, then they'll just continue on doing evil. And Saka answers and says, no, I don't punish them. When I punish them, I'm going down to their level. But by not punish them, I am the more powerful. I am the greater, the more pure. And so the very Pali word that is sometimes translated as forgiveness, sahanto, it has two meanings that are almost like opposites. One meaning is to endure something, and the other meaning of this very same word is to conquer something. So you conquer your difficulties by endurance. Just going on one more preliminary, because I want to come to our sutta about this. Not only are you patient with bad people in the world, or other people who are harming and insulting, but when it's treated in the Abhidhamma approach, is concerned about all kinds of mental factors. So within our own heart and mind, we have a mixture of skillful qualities and unskillful qualities. In daily life, it's inevitable that the unskillful qualities are going to frequently come out. So we must use patience with those unskillful qualities. If we try to punish the unskillful qualities within us, then we get pulled down to their level. But if we exert patience, we become larger, greater, more powerful, and we don't get pulled down. So just like the earth patiently bears whatever kind of garbage we throw on the earth, so just the same way, when we make our mind patient, we've made our mind as large as the earth itself. And by being large, the mind is stable. Or we make the mind as large as the sky. And by being large in that way, it's stable and it's greater. And it doesn't need to be disturbed. Yeah. So coming to the advice to Puna. I'm going to be reading you the advice to Puna, this one. And I'm also going to be quoting from another source. Let's see what to do, how to show you. Okay. Share screen. I've got to learn how to use a computer. Okay. This is called Divine Stories, which is a wonderful recent translation of the Divyavadana, which is a text. It's a later text. It's a Sanskrit text, which was part of the Sarvastivada tradition in Western India, and which subsequently became very popular in the Mahayana. So I'm just showing you this picture so that you could make a note of this, a lovely book called Divine Stories. There's a divine story about Puna, who is the main character in our tonight's sutta. So I have heard, at one time, the Buddha was staying near Savatthi in Jeta's Grove in Anathapindika's monastery. And then in the late afternoon, turn that off. In the late afternoon, Venerable Puna came out of retreat, went to the Buddha. He bowed, sat down to one side, and said to the Buddha, "Sir, may the Buddha please teach me Dhamma in brief. When I've heard it, I'll live alone, withdrawn, diligent, keen, and resolute." If you want to request a Dhamma talk, you could memorize this sentence and say, Sadhamang Ayyā Sankitena Ovadena Ovadatu Yanghang Bhagavato Dhammang Sutava Eka Vupakato Apamata Atapi Pahitato Viharayanti. Please teach the Dhamma in brief. And when I've heard the Dhamma, I won't be bothering you day in and day out to keep telling me more Dhammas, but instead I will use what I've heard and I'll go apart and live alone, withdrawn, diligent, keen, and resolute, and work with that Dhamma. So then the teacher agrees, and he speaks. And he gives this instruction, a brief instruction. Puna, there are sights known by the eye which are likable, desirable, agreeable, pleasant, sensual, and arousing. If a mendicant approves, welcomes, and keeps clinging to them, this gives rise to relishing. Relishing is the origin of suffering, I say. Likewise, sounds, smells, tastes, touches, and ideas. If a mendicant approves, welcomes, and keeps clinging to them, it gives rise to relishing. Relishing is like a mental welcoming, liking to turn it over and over again in the mind, experiencing the pleasant bodily feelings with enjoyment, and getting that kind of synergy going between the pleasant touch and the pleasant feeling. And so those things are circulating around. And or you could say relishing is a way like when we take the bait and we think that because it's pleasant, we want it. But this leads to suffering. But if the mendicant doesn't approve, welcome, and keep clinging to them, then relishing ceases. When relishing ceases, suffering ceases. And so that's the brief Dhamma. Then he continues, now that I've given you this brief advice, what country will you live in? Sir, there's a country named Sunaparanta. I live there. The Buddha says the people of Sunaparanta are wild and rough. If they abuse and insult you, what will you think of them? If they abuse and insult me, I will think, these people of Sunaparanta are gracious, truly gracious, since they didn't hit me with their fists. That's what I'll think. And then the Buddha asks, but if they do hit you with their fists, what will you think of them then? If they meet with their fist, I'll think, these people of Sunaparanta are gracious, truly gracious, since they don't throw stones at me. That's what I'll think. And it goes on. The Buddha says, but if they do throw stones, what will you think? And he replies, I'll think they are gracious, truly gracious, since they don't beat me with a club. But what if they beat you with a club? What will you think of them? Then I will think they are gracious, truly gracious, since they don't stab me with a knife. But what if they do stab you with a knife? What will you think? If they stab me with a knife, I'll think, these people of Sunaparanta are gracious, since they don't take my life with a sharp knife. And he said, but what if they do take your life with a sharp knife? What will you think of them then? If they take my life with a sharp knife, I'll think, there are disciples of the Buddha who look for a suicide weapon because they were horrified, repelled, and disgusted with the body and with life. And I have found this without even looking. That's what I'll think. And the Buddha says, very good, having such self-control and peacefulness, you will be quite capable of living in Sunaparanta. Now, go at your convenience. Puna welcomed and agreed with these words. He got up from his seat, bowed respectfully, circled the Buddha, keeping him on his right, set his lodgings in order, took his bowl and robe, set out for Sunaparanta. By the way, Sunaparanta is probably a real place, and it's associated with the city of Mumbai on the western coast of India. And there are several archaeological sites associated with Pune, and there is quite a large cult or a movement of people dedicated to the veneration of Pune in that part of the world. So he really did go there. He went there, and he was a successful and popular teacher. He confirmed about 500 male and 500 female lay followers. He realized the three knowledges. That would be the knowledge of seeing his past lives, the knowledge of seeing the way that beings are reborn according to their karma, and the knowledge of seeing within himself the destruction of the taints, which is an epithet for Nibbana. And it says sometimes later he became fully extinguished. Fully extinguished is the parinimbayi. That means that his death has happened. So he's laid down his physical body. After his death, several mendicants bowed and asked, sir, this gentleman named Puna, who was advised in brief, has passed away. Where has he been reborn in his next life? And the Buddha replies, mendicants, Puna was astute. He practiced in line with the teaching. He did not trouble me about the teaching. He has become fully quenched. Now, Puna has a very long backstory, which I think puts some character into why he is one who practiced patience. He was previously a wealthy and successful merchant in lay life. His father was also extremely wealthy, a millionaire. His father made his millions, and then afterwards he took a wife, and he enjoyed fooling around and having sex with his wife. And as a result, he had 3 sons. And the 3 sons also grew up, and he found 3 girls for his 3 sons. And his 3 sons also enjoyed spending time with their wives in pleasure. And the father then happened to fall ill. And when he was ill, his wife ignored him, and his 3 sons ignored him, and his 3 stepdaughters all ignored him. So he was just left alone to die from his illness. But there was a maid in that family, a servant, who saw what was happening, and she thought, well, why don't I help him? And so using the small allowance that she had for expenses, she obtained some medicine, and she took care of the master, and he regained his health. And he was so grateful, he wanted to offer a cash prize. But as you said, actually, would you please give me a child? Because if I get a child who was born of this great noble master, then I'm going to be set for the rest of my life. And so he did. He said, okay, wait until you're in heat and then come back. And so he did the deed. He had a child, and that child was Puna. So Puna was virtuous, good, smart, wonderful in every way. He was very fortunate. But throughout his life, his brothers liked to insult him by being the child of a slave. So we talk about the monkey that was urinating on the buffalo. So it's like he was great. He was a great person when he was born because he was a bodhisattva. And but his brothers liked to urinate on by insulting him about his mother. And so it came to be that the father was thinking, I didn't even get married until after I had already made $500,000, and yet my sons have not done anything, and they're just fooling around enjoying their wives. And so he kicked them out of the nest, and they had to go off leading sailing expeditions to go across the sea on a trading mission. And so they were successful, and they each got their $500,000 as a result of their trading adventures. But the youngest son, Puna, he said, you just stay home and you mind the store. And Puna was so good and so successful that he also got $500,000 just by minding the store. And then later on, for some reason, he decided to become a merchant organizing a sailing expedition. So the way this happens in the society is people who have goods that they want to trade will come together under the leadership of a master, and then they'll assemble a lot of different goods in several ships and go off on this expedition. And if they don't encounter any disasters, they would make a lot of money, but there's always the danger of a disaster. So while he's doing that, some of the people who have gathered for this trip, some of the lay people, are disciples of the Buddha. And at nighttime, while they're sitting around the fire, they're reciting suttas and chanting suttas. And Puna hears it, And he goes to them and says, "What is the most beautiful song you're singing?" And I explained to him that it's the Buddha. That there's a Sammasambuddha in the world, and this is what he's taught. And Puna gets goosebumps and his hair stands up, and he says, "Oh, I must go and see the Buddha." And so he does. He goes to see the Buddha. And then you have the story that we had in the sutta. He becomes ordained, he's good, he's successful. He gives up all of his millions, he gives up all of his wealth. He just becomes a monk. There's a lot more, actually, like a soap opera in this story. You could have a show or a whole opera about it with the different conflicts and the miracles and the quarrels and everything that's happening among the brothers. And this is sort of like the demonstration of the teaching that the Buddha gives, that all of the delightful and attractive things of the senses that they're able to purchase with their millions are just causing them to be a quarrelsome family that's always quarreling with each other. It's not bringing them true happiness. But Puna is already, even before he ordained, he's above, he's bigger than that, because he doesn't get disturbed by the insults. And he's, because of his patience and his goodness, and that's what's bringing him this continuous good luck. So after he goes and arrives in this place, now I'm going to tell you how he happened to become such a popular teaching monk. He got permission from the Buddha to travel. He's told a story about how he plans to behave in case the people there are rude, harmful, hurtful, even to the point of killing. Then he goes to this place, Sunaparantaka, for alms. Then a certain hunter on a hunt emerged with a bow in his hand. And the hunter saw him and reflected, "This is inauspicious. I see a shaven-headed ascetic." So probably you know that if you're hunting to catch wild animals and kill them, and you happen to see a Buddhist monk, that is really bad luck for you, and it might ruin your entire hunt. The same thing is true if you're gambling. If you're on the way to gamble at the casino and you see a Buddhist monk, it's bad luck for your gambling. You won't win money that day. And I mentioned that because my teacher, Bhante Gunaratana, one time was not invited to go on a cruise, which was a health and wellness cruise. And he was going to be teaching meditation as part of the health and wellness program. So the cruise boat is so large, they have multiple different groups who are each doing their thing on the same boat. So some of them are doing like their yoga and their health food and their quiet, healthy activities. And then some other ones are carousing and gambling. But the meditation hall that was assigned for Bhante Gunaratana, he had to go through the casino to get to the room where they had the meditation class. And so every day, the people who were gambling had to see him and be disturbed by that bad luck. So this hunter sees the shaven-headed ascetic, which is going to spoil his hunt, and he pulls his bow and charged after Puna. And then when Puna saw him, he opened up his robe and pointed at his belly. And he said, "Friend," remember he's on the alms round with his alms bowl, "I have entered here for the sake of this, which is hard to fill. Attack me here, for the sake of which birds wander in a thicket, wild animals move toward a trap, men bearing arrows, spears, and lances forever perish in battle, and poor pitiful fish, fallen on dark days, swallow the hook. It is for the sake of that, the stomach, that I have come far away into this pool of wickedness. And the hunter reflected, wow, this renunciate possesses such patience and gentleness. Why should I attack him? And with that thought, he became full of faith. And when Ropuna taught him the Dhamma, established him in the refuges and the precepts. And then word got around in the town from that hunter. And he attracted 500 male disciples and 500 female disciples. And this is in the story that they got the donation of many hundred seats, cushions, woolen blankets, pillows, and shawls. So in this way, we see that there's something about patience. Not only do we have to be patient with things that are painful and upsetting, but we also need to be patient with things that are delightful and enticing and attractive. So the danger of having our greed aroused, so we go chasing after some enticing sensual pleasure, is just as great as the danger of something hurtful, negative, insulting, or painful that causes our anger to be aroused. And you saw that the lifestyle of Puna's family was a lifestyle that had both the combination of indulging in fooling around with pleasure and also getting involved in quarrels and getting involved in conflicts and getting involved in aggression. And those two things are going hand in hand together. The more they indulge themselves in sensual pleasure, the more they become like internally weak and not able to bear up to even a small insult. But one who has develops that inner forbearance, which is determined not to take up this relishing with sensual pleasure, is also the one who is able to be patient and gentle with all kind of things that are unpleasant. So this is my short teaching about the benefits of the Kanti, the perfection of patience. The practice of the Bodhisattva, when he forgives all others without exception, he forgives people who are weak and inferior. He forgives the wicked and cruel ones. He doesn't show anger. He's like a dumb sheep in the midst of quarreling. His forgiveness is unfailing amidst all kinds of quarrels. In a way, the practice of loving kindness or boundless loving kindness is very close to the practice of patience. So, because loving kindness has that large, great quality, So becoming like as patient as the earth or as patient as the sky is the same thing as patient as the heart, which is filled with loving kindness. And that loving kindness and that wisdom also works together. So with wisdom, you know that there's no individuality. So there's not a separation between myself and the other. And so then if I just, sink down to that level, then we're both down in the ditch. But if I can maintain that forbearance and that gentleness, then that is able to be to touch others and to be a beneficial impact on others. We can see that all of these, both the pleasures and the challenges, when we know about impermanence, we see how small and insignificant they really are because of understanding impermanence. And so when we see that these are all just things that came to be because of conditions, and so with that, we don't feel disturbed. In a way, this description is kind of like it seems like a Jesus-like type of figure, who's like the martyr who allows the others to kill him, or who allows the monkey to pee on him, and is meek and mild in that time. And so a reflection that I have is that the Buddha, or an arahant, who is able to see how all of his own past lives and able to see how beings are born and reborn according to their karma, then he could look over this great, vast world and see all the suffering, all of the unwholesome things, all the mistakes, all of the unskillful things, all of the possible unskillful things in the whole world throughout the vast expanse of time are all able to be seen by the Buddha. And if you had that vision without being a Buddha, you could become very depressed, couldn't you? If you say, wow, this world is terrible. Let me go to a formless realm because the form realm is just unbelievably bad. Or else, sort of on the opposite side, you can see all the beautiful and luxurious things in the world, and want to go to a heavenly realm if you don't have the wisdom. But the Buddha is like an aspect of the vast compassion of the Buddha is that he forgives all of it, like he forgives all of the bad, unskillful things that are happening in the whole world through the vast extent of time, and he also forgives all the sensual pleasures and all the sensual pleasures and the enticements and those lower kinds of happiness. So he just doesn't have a grudge about any of it, even though he knows the dukkha involved on both sides of pleasure and pain. He fully understands the dukkha, but he's not holding it with a grudge. He's holding it with boundless compassion. And so that boundless compassion is also like another quality that's sort of like hand by hand with this patience, or you could say that the boundless compassion of a Buddha is manifested at what it looks like. It looks like that gentle forbearance, that gentle patience. So this is what you should be inspired by. Welcome, Uttara, nice to see you. Gregory, Ryan, Manal, Brian, Elaine, Samasiya, Bhumika, Huiling, Yankee Doodle, Ronald, Fadila. Welcome to all of you, and welcome to all the listeners who may be here an hour later without signing into this chat. I see one question. Could past lives be equated with our own past lives as a baby, a child, a teenager, an adult, etc.? Is no self a universal consciousness? Thank you for those great questions. I believe that in a psychological sense, that equating how we were in the younger years as a child, a young person, before we learned about the Dhamma, or when we were just in the beginning of our spiritual evolution, and looking at those as being equated to past lives is a very useful, beneficial, and helpful way of looking at it. I know so many people in the world who are really good and they're really patient most of the time, but at some time at the past, they received some strong injury, perhaps when they were less mature and they didn't have the spiritual assets to be able to cope with the unskillful things that were done to them. So somebody who was raped in the past, or somebody who was neglected by their parents, or who was abused by their parents, or somebody who was subjected to racism or injustice or something like that during a time when they were young and didn't know how to integrate it. So a person like that could be like keeping a nugget that they keep aside, that they have loving kindness for all beings in the whole world except for that person who hurt them. They don't forgive that person. But we will know that we've done the work when we're able to forgive that person. And somehow thinking about the past lives and not only the things that were done to me, but all the mistakes that I made when I was a baby, a child, a young adult, and to forgive that baby, that child, and that young adult for the mistakes that were made. It was just because of causes and conditions, because of our ignorance at the time. We didn't know any better, and that's why all of those things happened. That's why we did those things, and so we must completely forgive them. The second question of Elaine about no self being a universal consciousness, no, I don't agree with that. Consciousness is a impermanent phenomenon that arises in the moment because of a living being and coming to contact through the senses, and then there's that knowing quality that knows that. Now, when you realize the truth about non-self, you do realize that what you experience with those moments of consciousness is no different than what all other sentient beings are experiencing. So by inference, or by sympathy, by intuition, or even by psychic powers, you know that other beings have consciousness the same as you do. This is what is a quality of humans and some animals. The scientists say that they have what's called theory of self, which is that they understand the things that they experience inside, and they can know that other people are also experiencing similar to that inside of them. But then this universal consciousness has got the danger of becoming, instead of having a little small self that's within us as an individual, we imagine that there's a universal, massive, giant, all-encompassing, great self, which encompasses the whole world, which is like the divine element. It's like a god or a pantheistic idea. There are different ideas of the self that different spiritual seekers have, and it's very easy to imagine that our little narrow-minded, small, insignificant ego is just part of this great, massive consciousness, and make that into a self, but it's not a self. So we are interconnected with all beings because of a web of causation and interactions. So there is, like Indra's web, there's a web of connection with all sentient beings in the world, but don't confuse that as being, be cautious, be very careful when you think about universal consciousness, because people tend to make that into a self, and it's not. That's going the wrong direction. In the Alagadupama Sutta, the simile of the snake, the Buddha said that if he tried to make that true, he was looking, and he found that a belief in a universal self only led to continuation of suffering. And because it leads to the continuation of suffering, he doesn't teach it. I hope that others will know about the value of these stories, metaphors, and similes in being able to touch the heart and help us to put into practice some of the teachings that are otherwise dry, or it's difficult to understand, or if we think we understand them, we don't quite know what to do with them. Here's a question from Ryan regarding the Nirodha Samapatti. This attainment or any of the jhanas do not necessarily mean wisdom, much less arahantship. How is that possible, please? The Nirodha Samapatti is a state of meditation which is not attainable by people who are not already enlightened. So only it's said that only somebody who's a non-returner or a fully enlightened arahant is able to enjoy the Nirodha Samapatti. That in that case it goes side by side with wisdom. But the other jhanas, like the 4 jhanas, or even the immaterial meditations, those can be practiced and developed by somebody who's on a spiritual quest, who still is subject to theory about the self. The Buddha's teachers had those kind of theories. They were conscientious, ethical, moral, kind, practicing loving kindness, practicing renunciation, not getting involved with sensual pleasure, not getting involved with anger. So because of having all of those positive qualities, and because of seeking for meditation, they're capable of developing meditation, but they still were under the influence of delusion, because they had not managed to discover the truth, especially the truth about the non-self. They were pursuing a way to liberation that was trying to somehow accommodate with the existence of a self. And so, they had some levels of wisdom. They just had not overcome delusion because of still having that delusion about the self. So if you have a reflective understanding of the teachings of the Buddha, together with your good sila, your good efforts to purify the mind and to eliminate the negative mental factors which provide obstacles to wisdom, that then within that kind of a practice, and having listened to the Dhamma, heard the Dhamma, then the jhana meditation can become an asset, a boost, and a help for the opening the gates of wisdom, because there's so much clarity in those states, and it's so beneficial to be temporarily secluded from the defilements of the mind associated with greed and hatred, and to realize that it's possible to really be free from greed and hatred. And then that state without those disturbances is the state where it's possible to see clearly, to have both the courage and the equanimity to be able to see things very clearly, exactly as they are, and then to be able to accurately see impermanence, see the rising and falling in conditions, and to see the ever-flowing sequence of cause and effect as being essentially a selfless process. So that vision is possible within jhana. But if you go into jhana and you're still subject to a wrong view, that will block you from being able to get the full breakthrough just with jhana. So that's my explanation for that question. I hope that everybody who listens to this Dhamma will be happy. Oh, here's another question. Okay. I should have waited before I started to close. In Jhana Training Manual by Thomas Liskacek, he says that he attained a Nirodha Samapatti, yet he claims no arahatship. I'm not familiar with that teacher. It's possible that it's either a confusion about what the state of Nirodha Samapatti is, or else that Thomas is actually at least a non-returner, that he's a noble one, without, however, being a fully enlightened arahant. And these statements about the qualifications for the different states that are described, they become somewhat congealed into a somewhat rigid set of definitions that then becomes like fixed in the Abhidhamma, are fixed by means of commentarial understanding. And what a person actually experiences could be more fluid or diverse than that. So that's that. I see Ryan says he's researching this manual and author more fully. There's a school of meditation by some secular Buddhist, which is describing, endorsing a much more energetic, high determination form of practice, really being like much more strict and much more effortful. And they are trying to overcome the wishy-washy tendency of the modern mindfulness movement, which says you just kind of just hang out and be relaxed, and anything that arises in the mind, you just say, oh, there, it's okay, it's just impermanent, it's not self, and so forth like that. So the wishy-washy mindful person has evil and skillful qualities of the mind coming up, and they say, oh, there's a bad quality, here it comes, there it goes, it's impermanent. But then the person who's really determined, one who has monastic training, and one who is determined, eventually they don't tolerate those unwholesome qualities. When the unskillful thoughts come up, they dispel those qualities, they recognize them as unskillful and dispel them and release them, relinquish them, get rid of them. So the hardcore, aggressive, intense meditation school of Vipassana has somewhat hurt their own reputation by making claims about enlightenment, which are debatable. Nevertheless, I do recommend waking up. I recommend becoming a stream winner. I recommend gaining levels of enlightenment. It's achievable. It should be done, and also to do that takes a lot of effort, and it takes effort and persistence for a long time. That's the lesson of this Bodhisattva precepts. The Bodhisattva made the effort again and again over many lifetimes, persistently throughout an entire lifetime from birth until death, constantly making the effort to purify themselves and to develop and perfect develop these wholesome qualities to the maximum. So we've got to have that kind of perseverance and enthusiasm if we want to accomplish something. And and then we have to relax and be still in order to obtain the jhana. And the jhana is part and parcel. So there's both relaxation and urgency are both part of the path of training. So please be well, please be happy, please be free from afflictions, free from negativities, free from poison, and may you be mild and gentle with yourself, and may you also be mild and gentle with anything unskillful that comes up, but nevertheless lose your unskillful qualities and keep the skillful ones until you realize. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.